to, I see, it's today the 7th of June, about 7:30. It's Collab session 6, and the focus this evening is to give you an overview of the take-home exam. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to share files. Share now. Good evening, Nao. Welcome. Okay, so let me see now. I need to share it with you. And I need to start somewhere. Get there. Okay, there you are. Okay. So let me just it's a bit slow tonight. I'm going to make it as big as possible, but you can also make it, enlarge it on your side. Now, importantly, if we just have a look at the marks. Good evening, Sipu. Welcome. You will see the assignment was 30%. The assignment 2 was 25%, and the exam will be 35%. If you add that up, obviously it's 4, 6, 9, and then 10% for your ICE tasks. Okay? So in terms of that, you will also see the exam will be about all the learning units from 1 to 10, which will also be, I'll just check myself, but I believe it will be chapters 1 to 10 in the textbook. So if we have a look at that, then importantly is the next page. I need to increase it again. Okay, here it tells us what to focus on as far as the exam is concerned. Okay, and I've got last year's exam, and I'll discuss that with you. But it's important that we take note of this. First of all, it will be theory-based, a variety of formats. So you can make it a little bit bigger still. There you are. It says there may be limited multi-choice and or match the column questions. Now, I'll explain that to you, but the majority of the questions will be short questions and longer paragraph questions. Practical examples may be requested, and a case study may be included. You may also be asked to write an essay in the exam which practical thinking application of theory is tested. Questions may require. Let me see whether they carry on. Apply theory to a specific context. So if we quickly look at what they mean by that, what we have now, remember that the exam will be 120 marks, and yeah, I believe that because the assignments, let me just quickly get there. The assignments covered learning units 1 to 6. So 1 to 4 was covered quite sufficiently, and then 5 and 6 only in assignment 2. That learning units 1 or chapters 1 to 4 will be covered, but not as specifically as then chapters 5 and 6, and then most specifically 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so what I mean by that is most of your questions would come from 7, 8, 9, and 10, although don't leave the rest out because there will be questions from that. Okay, so if we go back to what they've said um, in terms of the test, good evening. Is it Brita? Do I pronounce it correctly? Most importantly, and it's possible because the test, the exam that I'm going to show you did not have multiple choice questions or match the column questions. I think you're all aware of what multiple choice is. You know that they give you a specific statement, and then you have to choose an answer for that, and then match the column questions would be they would give you a specific um, theoretical aspect, like what shall we call it? Uh, they could say, I've got the book here. Let me find something. Um, Marty, that will only be the test. The exam is due on the. I've got it here. I've got it here. It is. Let me just quickly find it. But in any case, there you are. No. It's due. The exam, take-home exam, is due on the. Let me see quickly. On the 26th of June. Okay, and the about 12 hours. So the morning before, or the about 9, I think about 9 o'clock on the 25th, you will be able to access that the take-home exam. No, I think it's about 12 o'clock. You'll be able that evening. You'll be able to on the 25th. You'll be able to access the test, the exam, and then it will be due on the 21st. Let me see where we are now. Somebody sent a message. Okay. So that you'll have about not to 12 o'clock, about what's it, 24 hours, about 21 hours to complete it, something like that. Okay, happy with that? Just to come back, so, man. So it's possible that this time the match the columns would be something like they would say to you, let me find something, macro environment. And there will be 10 of these theoretical concepts, and then they will have about 13 solutions. And then you would need to choose the matching explanation of a macro environment from those 13 options that you have available. And there could be 10 of those at 10 marks, at 1 mark each, or there could be 5 for 2 marks each. They could also have multiple choice questions, 5 of 2 marks each, and match the column questions, 5 of 2 marks each. That's about 20 marks, or they could have 5 of 1 mark each and 5 of 1 mark each as far. So it could it could vary between 10 to 20 marks for the first two questions. They would start you off on a very sort of friendly friendly approach in terms of the first two questions wouldn't be that hard. Okay, so it's possible, just bear that in mind. And then they say 2.1 short questions and longer paragraph questions. That would be, I believe, okay, let me jump ahead. That practical example, oh, there will be a case study that you can be very sure of with sub questions, and I'll show you now in the exam how it's positioned. And then there will be, as far as I am concerned, an essay where they will give you a certain theoretical concept, and you would need to write an essay about it. And for that, you will then, there will be a rubric that will be used to mark it. So to sum up, multiple choice questions possibly, match the column questions possibly for between 10 and 20 marks. Then I believe there will be short questions where they would, and I'll show you now in terms of the exam, where they would pose a certain questions or they could have a scenario. And in terms of that, they could then ask you questions. Very importantly, is that because you're obviously at home, you have your textbook available, so it's not going to be specifically theoretical based questions. There will be some theory that you need to explain or describe, but then there will also be a practical application of that theory. And then, as I said, I do believe there will be a case study and there will be an essay. So you could have between 4 to 5 questions. Any questions as far as that's concerned? Good evening, Masood. I've said hello to all the others. Any questions as far as that's concerned? Let's call it the format of the exam. Now, obviously, let me just have a look here. The exam is due on the 26th. In 2 weeks' time, no less than 2, on Monday the 19th, and I'll send out obviously earlier, before the 19th, I'll send out the link. There will be a national assignment workshop where I can't remember her name, will then discuss the exam also and give you not, I wouldn't say more detailed, but perhaps different perspectives as far as the take-home exam is concerned. The same you would have had, Paula, the same you would have had for the assignment 1 and assignment 2. Okay, and hopefully with these two inputs, mine tonight and hers on the 19th, will prepare you, I believe, fully for the exam on the 26th. Okay, but any questions you have at this point in time? Good evening, Boitumelo. Masood, you can answer it in Word format, but then you need to submit it in a PDF. So all answers must be in a PDF format. Any other questions? And as I said, let me just quickly have a look. Just want to check myself. There's unit 6. That's just 6. is 9, which is chapter 9. So it will be chapters 1 to 10 that will be examined in a take-home exam. Okay, any questions in this regard? Masood, it's you know, it's from previous exams. I would think that they would focus more. So there will be questions about 1 to 4, and because that's covered in both in assignments 1 and 2, then more focus on 5 and 6, and the most focus in terms of possible questions as far as the case study and the essay is concerned would be 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, but you have to prepare in terms of all 10 chapters. I think that's important. The way I would approach it, okay, that's something I need to show you also, which I haven't done. Be there just now. Okay, it's there. How do we prepare? Okay, prepare hints. You will see that to prepare effectively, okay, all the revision questions and activities in the learning units tested. Okay, now if you go to your VC Learn, you will see just before more resources, they refer to learning units. Now, if you click on that, they discuss all the learning units from 1 to 10. And in that, at the end, they would have certain activities and they also would have certain revision questions. Okay, so they say be aware of that. But I believe if you can answer these questions, answer questions relating to all learning objectives for the learning units tested or the learning units examined. Okay, if you can answer that, and then and if you obviously can find the answer to that, then you should be able also to answer any revision questions and activities, because most of that will be based on your learning objective. So if you cover this adequately and also just have a look at this, you would prepare sufficiently. But the way I would do it, if we look at, and you would see that this is available in your VC Learn More Resources support material. Okay, so there we, for example, have the first, let's get to a later one. What's that, 6? I think 6 is part, yeah. There's 5 to 6. Let's get to the next one. There's planning, and there's all your learning objectives. Now, if you make sure, now obviously some of these learning units are very broadly based. You know, for example, there it covers, in that instance, it covers about 4 pages. Now, they can't ask you a question about a particular learning objective, okay? But at least be aware in terms of your preparation, at least be aware of where to find this, okay? So that I would in fact mark my my textbook with markers or whatever, so that I would know where exactly to find these learning objectives. So that if I do have a question, and I don't say only do that, I do say prepare, be able to say, to explain the nature of planning, okay? Be able to describe the importance of planning, okay? In terms of um, at least you know what it entails, and at least you know where to find it, okay? So if you do that, you will prepare sufficiently and be able. Now, uh, uh, um, uh, for example, here, learning objective 3 of theme 2, they say explain the purpose of the differences between and the hierarchies of goals. Now, they're not going to ask you that as a question, but they may break it up and then have a case study, and then in terms of what you see here, base a question on this linked to the case study. Does that make sense? Okay, so you would that would be all the yellows you would find in the textbook. That's your theory. Okay, now you have your case study. The case study have lots of details, and then they could say to you, uh, for let's take the next one, uh, uh, differentiate between strategic, functional, and operational planning, and provide an example of each based on the contents of the case study. Okay, so there will be theory. So obviously you need to find the correct theory, but then most of your marks would come from your practical application. And then very importantly, there's a word that's now used a lot, integration. Okay, so what's important of that, let's say this differentiates between strategic. So you will have a description of strategic plus your example from the case study. Then you will have a differentiate your functional from the other two with an example to prove that you're aware of what it exists of, and then you would have your operational planning and again an example. So immediately once you've applied your theory, you immediately then need to have your example from the case study. Does that make sense? Good evening, Akona. Does that make sense? Thank you, Masood. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Any questions if you don't understand? Okay. Thank you, Marty. Okay. May I continue then? Okay. It seems like it. Everybody's happy. Okay. So that's the, thank you, Nayo. That's the format, the way the questions could be positioned, where to find the theory, how to apply the theory then to a practical, in terms of the contents of a particular case study, and then in terms of integration, as soon as you discuss or describe the theory, immediately after that so not to have a paragraph describing or discussion of the theory, and then in another paragraph, then have your examples. It must be immediately linked to the theory, the example you would use. Okay. Um, okay, let's then have a look at the actual exam, last year's exam. Let's see. Window. What's this? Sorry, I'm just trying to find my where I've put it because I can't. Let me quickly have a look. Let's see whether I can now find it. I'm just going to close here again. Also, share application screen. It's not that window. I think it's this one. You see entire screen. No, let's go here. I think it's this one. Can you see that? Where are we now? No, it's there. Can you see it? The screen that actually it says question 1. Give me some feedback, just to tell me, please. Where are you? Okay, so you can all see it. Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. That helps. Okay, so in terms of that, let me just try to increase the size again. In terms of that, I just want to, I'll get to that now. Okay, something I need to just impress upon you. Even with this exam, if you look at your pages 2 of your assignments 1 and 2, they explain to you exactly how to in-text reference. And as far as I'm aware, quite a number of you lost some marks or percentages for in-text reference. So please bear that in mind. There will be possibly a need to do some extra research or find additional information from outside of the textbook, and that information or contents will have to be in-text reference to that particular source and using the correct format for in-text referencing. The same would apply to your resource list or your bibliography. Make sure that it meets the requirements of the IIE reference guide, and that guide is available in VC Learn More Resources support material. Okay, the same would apply to the module outline. All of those chapters that will be examined in the take-home exam, all of those plus the page references is or will be then available in VC Learn More Resources support material. So you would immediately be able to prepare in terms of those pages that you have available. Okay, happy with that? Okay, let's have a look now. As I've said, I can't show you now. Let me see whether I can show you now. But the test said the exam is actually 2022. And it would say at the top left, it says 20, 21, 22. Now, usually a test or exam will be prepared, it will be developed for 3 years. Obviously not the same one, but the development would be for 3 years. Now, so my assumption is that what we see here in terms of format will not be the same that you will get. When I say that, specifically as far as question 1 is concerned. Okay, so I come back to what we just saw in the module outline. There it says it will be multiple choice questions or matching concepts with their descriptions. Yet question 1 was 20 marks. So I would assume that if they, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm just trying to position the particular question. My assumption is that it will be 5 multiple choice questions times 2 marks for each, and then as far as the matching question is concerned, it will also be 5 times 2. When we answer, if you get the definition from the textbook and or other source, yes, you'll have to reference it. Okay, but Marty and the others, if the module outline, which is a later edition than the exam, says there will be multiple choice, etc., I believe that will be the case. So I don't think they will have these type of questions to start off. But prepare yourself just in case, but I don't believe. I think it will be multiple choice and then a matching question. Okay? Now, if we go to question 2, and I just need to go to question 2. Okay. I think you should see it now. So we already have 20 questions, which is 20 marks, which is quite, I would say, easy if you prepare well, easy to answer. So you should have 20 marks in the bag already. Then we have a case study. I need to get back to you. You can see there, read the case study. That's for 50 marks, okay? And when I marked last year, I did this to help me with my marking. But that's what I would do if I should prepare to answer a particular case study. I would mark in terms of highlight areas which I think could be of importance. I would obviously read through it again, then I would go back, and then I would see, okay, what does the heading say? It's so-and-so, sold food, did catering, let way out the salary for weeks because the work was closed at the beginning of the lockdown. Now they have something about Mkabela, okay, what he did, then how he started the Gourmet Shrine, etc. And then let's see, and so it's a short and sweet, in this case study. I don't believe they could perhaps go up to a page in terms of the actual case study, but it won't be like 2 or 3 pages. Okay, so as I said, in terms of how I would prepare, I would first read through it, okay, and then go back, find out what's the context of what are they trying to tell me, and then try to mark or highlight those areas which I think could be of importance. Okay, then next, now obviously you're not going to get the same case study, but just to give you how to prepare for it, next, I would you would obviously go to the actual questions, okay? And let me get back to that. There you would see, in fact, they would say, in your answers, you will be awarded more marks for integrating the theory and facts from the case study than if you discuss them separately. So, as I said, for example, about corporate responsibility, how you explain that, it will be some theory plus then a supporting fact from the case study. Okay, then again some theory, again a fact from the case study to support that. So in this instance, now everything that's in bold, and they should do that again, hopefully, but if not, then I would immediately start looking for something that I would recognize from the textbook. Okay, in this case, they fortunately highlighted to us. So the first question is explain. Okay, so explain to me is I don't know, as the marker, don't know what is corporate social responsibility. Okay, so you need to explain that to me, and you need to tell me how the Gourmet Shrine could engage in corporate social responsibility. Okay, so they could say that, for example, um, this owner could have started soup kitchens, soup kitchens in his community. Okay, that would be some aspect of corporate social responsibility. So you would need the correct theory, and then, as if I'm the Gourmet Shrine, you would now need to explain to me how I, as this owner, could engage, how I could become involved in corporate social responsibility. Now, in all of these instances, um, we will be using, when I say we, Paula and I will use a rubric to mark this also. Okay? And you've seen that, the use of that in your assignments. But remember, it's 10 marks. So the more you give me relevant, relevant um, theory, okay, use that to explain to me what is corporate social responsibility, and then tell me how I, as Gourmet Shrine, could become involved in that. Then obviously your marks would increase uh, towards the 10. Okay, the same with the scribe here, managerial skills. Now, importantly, please, and I saw that from your assignments 1 and 2, you need to focus on exactly. For example, in this instance, it's not social responsibility, it's from a corporate perspective. In this instance, it's only managerial skills that apply at the top management level. So, for a few reasons, for your time's sake that you have available, and for me in terms of marking, don't use or describe or apply anything that's not relevant to the question. Okay, so stop. Then again, I need to apply that to the Gourmet Shrine. Okay, so first of all, I need to find managerial skills. Now, remember, you're not going to get the same questions. I'm trying to position how to answer it. Okay, then the next one, uh, recommend so and so why you should consider a partnership. Okay, and you can explain to him, obviously, again from a theoretical perspective, why it should be partnership, but also use some detail from the textbook. Why you think, in terms, not the textbook, in terms of the case study, in terms of what you see there, why a partnership would be better for him. And then the economic variables, and importantly now, again, the macro environment. This time it could be the micro environment, this time it could be the market environment, okay, in which Mr. Makabela was operating. Okay, so again, in such a case, let's say it's the market environment, you obviously need to find the economic variables that form part of the market environment, and then use the case study. So give a short description of each of those, and then immediately as you describe it, you give an example from Mr. Makabela's operation. And then finally, let me just find that. Where are we? Okay, there we are. use examples in the context of this case study to illustrate your understanding of entrepreneurial resources. Okay, so I go and find entrepreneurial resources. I know what it's all about. Then I go to the case study and I find examples that would now illustrate that I do understand what entrepreneurial resources are. And so I would describe one of them, use an example, describe another one, example from the case study. And I believe that could be a way in which you would then have another 50 marks. So very much theory based. So you need to find the correct theory, but then link the theory to examples from the case study. Okay, and be aware that you focus exactly in terms of what's being asked. Questions? Any questions? I'm listening. Masood's happy. So you would see in front of you, there's a little 4 options. The first one is a sort of like a face. If you click on that, you can give me some feedback. You can see, you can click on happy as Masood did, and that would show you're happy, or you could say, I'm confused, or please, you're going too fast, please be slower, etc., etc. So you could use that. Also, please use it to give me feedback. Okay, everybody happy with the second type of questions that you could have? Thank you, Sipu. Appreciate that. Thank you, Marty. Okay, let's then go to the third question. Thank you. Who is that? Sheldray, thank you for that. If we then go to the third question was then differentiate between business management concepts. Now, again, sorry, because I think could be a different developer. The format of question 3 could be different, but you will see that's for 30 marks. Okay, and it's a fairly nice question as long as you apply what they ask for. Okay, so there's the guidelines. Let me just get back to my one. Oh man. There's the guidelines. Okay, so explain each concept, give an original example, analysis of the key differences, use the tables below. Okay, so there you can see they give you the matrix, which you can use as such if a question like this is asked, and you can then populate each of these columns with your answer. Okay, so I think that's quite straightforward. If you apply exactly what they ask for. As I said, I'm not sure whether you will get a similar question, but it could be something similar, amounting to about 30 marks. Okay, then the second part of this would be something similar in terms then of location and functional departmentalization as part of the organizing managerial function. So you first need to be aware of exactly what the theory is all about, and then obviously in terms of their requirements, apply the theory in terms of answering the question. Most importantly, you could see the analysis of the key differences. You need to lift out exactly why this would be different from that. Okay, questions in this regard? Okay, thank you, Masood. The last question is a question, no, sorry, yeah, that's the last question, would be, as I then said, will in fact, I do believe they won't tell us, they, sorry, something else. They're not going to try and catch you out. They're not going to pose difficult questions. It will be straightforward. That's why you will see that a lot of the important parts are highlighted. Um, Hopefully, it will be in this exam also, but it's a straightforward question. Write an essay. We explain the control process. Then, importantly, use your own examples to explain each. Again, it's an integration, so you would, and remember now, I'll get to that. Where is that? We'll have a look at the rubric that they've used. But you will see there it says you will receive more marks for your own original detailed examples than for examples in your textbook from your lecturer or on Learn. Okay? Marks will be allocated, and then very importantly, and you need to give that to me at the end, the word limit. In this case, it will be 1,200 words. Okay? Um, Importantly, then, about an essay, um, let's just see whether they have it in the rubric here. Okay. Yes, you should see it there. First of all, let me see, it's a bit, let me make it a little bit smaller. There you are. So question 4, they will say to you, there's your content. What did you need to discuss or describe or deal with would be, or explain, would be the control process. What's the skill that you will be awarded for? Use of relevant examples. And then you will see that there are 3 columns. Does not meet the required standard, meets the required standard, exceeds. And in your answer, uh, focus on this particular area here. Try to, as much as possible, meet these requirements. Okay? Because then obviously you'll get a much higher mark. Okay? So, importantly, comprehensive, and it could be a similar rubric again, a theoretical explanation, detailed, insightful application of examples, critical discussion, very importantly. Okay, it's not, especially in terms of the essay. It's Peter. Yes, Nayo, I don't see your complete um, message there. Will Peter? Will there? I assume. What's the rest? Yes, yes, Nayo. I'm recording this and I'll make it available as far as it will be a YouTube recording then. Okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. I make a lot of them. Okay. So in terms of that, critical discussion and then good balance of breadth and depth. So what it means is your answer is in terms of breadth, have sufficient facts. So let's call it this way: breadth will be quantity, depth will be quality. So in terms of breadth, you have enough to give you between a 12 and a 15 in terms of content and application. Depth is what's the quality of your answer. Okay, so that's your 15 marks. And as you will see, structure, grammar, and spelling, they refer to there must be an introduction and conclusion. Okay, so importantly, uh, your introduction would obviously, and call it an introduction, will give a little bit of background about, in this instance, what is a control process. And then your detail, please don't call it a body. Give it a heading like step one of the control process is this, and then your conclusion should not contain any more information. It should be a summary covering the most important aspects of what you had in your, let's call it your body, your discussion. Okay, so there it says structured with headings and paragraphs. Uh, Very importantly, spelling, grammar, and essay flow. So it's not a copy and paste. It's a nice flow in terms of your, from your introduction into your actual discussion, and then following your summary or your conclusion, and that would be your exam. Okay, so just to sum up, I believe the first 20 marks could be multiple choice and matching question. The second would be the type of questions we had a look at. Let me just get there. They had as a second question the case study. It could be the case study then. Okay, but I do believe there will be a case study. There could be even perhaps two, so there could be this one and then one in place of this, but with similar theoretical perspectives of questions, etc. Okay, and then finally, I believe there will be an essay about a particular concept in chapters 1 to 10, and that will be your exam. Questions? Did I go too fast? Should I just go through it again? I just wanted you. Okay, thank you, Boitumelu. I just wanted to make you aware of the particular format, and in terms of my first perspectives, how to prepare for it. And if you do that, I believe you should actually do very well. And as I said, they're not going to try and catch you or ask difficult questions. It will be very straightforward, but you need to be aware of the correct theory. And when I say correct, I mean specific to what they ask for, and then very specific in terms of the examples from the case study, very specific in terms of how you format your essay and answer your other questions, and then the as they said, the integration between the theory and the application of the theory, either in terms of the case study or in terms of the questions they ask. Anything else from your side? Yes, Masood, I'm listening.
Evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Masood.
I would like to know if there's a timer once you open the exam, because I'm not sure if I'm not the only one that, but in the morning we might just open it, then go to work, and then during the work day you might be able to just have an idea what you expect, and when you come back home and then just do the exam.
Uh, yes, I do think that would be the case. You should be able to answer the questions until the due time at 9 o'clock. And as with the assignments, once it's 21, 5 minutes past 9, it's late. But yes, you can approach it like that. As long as you allow your, I think the important thing is the preparation. If you make sure that you know where the theory is to be found and what the theory involves, make sure that you can answer those learning objectives. Uh, and if you do that, then you should be able to use your time productively that you have available. Does it answer your question, Masood?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, pleasure. Anything else? I'm listening. We still have 4 minutes left. It's Bonolo. If you don't get 40%, phew, that's a good question, Bonolo. Yes, I think there is a CAS mark for this, which consists of your, in terms of the weighting, your assignment 1 mark, your assignment 2 mark, and then obviously your ICE tasks. So yes, you may qualify. I'm not sure for a special exam in January. No, not in January. That will be in August or so. If you can fit it in, you can take 1A and 1B in one semester, although I don't think it will be feasible, because bear in mind your second year you're going to have as many modules as you have in your second semester. You will have as many modules as you would have had in your first semester. Does it answer your question? I don't want to explain that too much. Marty, I'll come back to that. I think if you have no, I must correct myself. You can write the special exam if you received a mark less than the pass mark for the exam. Then you can write a special exam, but you won't qualify if you don't qualify in terms of your CAS mark.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Oh, great. So I wanted to ask. I think the thing that I'm trying to focus on right now, because I've just seen the CAS marks, obviously, with this question. I think it's quite obvious. What I'd like to know is, so for example, I know that there's a second intake for business management, BCom, second semester, right? So if you were to decide to take and let's say you don't qualify for the exam, is it possible to take it again the coming semester? Because then you kind of
it won't be available in the second semester because it's semester based. So 5121 would be.
So sorry to interrupt you, sir. There's a second intake of the BCom, as in the whole degree. So isn't there people doing their first semester in the second semester? That's what I'm asking.
No, I can come back to you about that. I've got your email address.
Please,
I'll make sure of I'll make sure of that. But as far as I know, 5121.
Yes, sir.
Is for the first semester, and then 5122 would be second semester. Now, the next intake for the second semester then would start with 5122. But I'll make sure for you. Yeah. If it's because 5121 and 5122 would be first year modules. If you get to the second year, it becomes 6121.
Okay.
It makes sense, Manolo. But I'll if I don't come back to you, then what I've said to you will apply.
If you don't come back to me, I'll prompt you via email.
Okay, do that.
All right.
Okay. Marty, as far as I know, I'll have to find out for you. I'm not sure whether you can take more than the prescribed courses. I don't think so, because it's all the modules are very specifically linked to a particular semester. So do you mind? Do you mean if you need to repeat it? Just Masood.
No. So hi, Peter. No. So what I mean
Yes.
is, for example, let's say that you want to take some of the second semester courses in the first semester, or is that not possible because you have to pass certain prerequisite courses in the first semester to get to the courses in the second semester?
That's it. Yeah. Yes. And so as I said, only there will only be for your BCom second semester. Now remember, all the modules are semester based. It's not a year. It's not a year module, a 1 year module. So the modules that you would need to take will be specific to the second semester. So you won't be able then to add anything else. Make sense?
Okay, that clarifies my question. Thank you, Peter.
Oh, pleasure. Masood, the way you do it is you take if you completed all your ICE tasks, that will be 10%. Then you take your assignment 1 mark and you multiply that by I've got it here, by 30%. And then you take your assignment 2 mark and you multiply that by 25%. You all add that all up, and if it's more than 40% or 40 in total, you are allowed to write the exam. Make sense? Okay. Masood, make sense? Okay. It's possibly because they're still marked, Masood, and the process is the following. You mark it, I would mark it, then I would enter it on VC Learn in the grade center, and then it would be transferred to SIS, and then from that, for example, your CAS for BMNG 5121 will be calculated, and that will then be made available. So I'm not sure, Benolo's left us. I'm not sure where she found it, but that's a way to calculate it. 10% if you did all the ICE tasks, 30% of your assignment 1 mark, 25% of your assignment 2 mark, add it all up. If it's more than 40%, then you're allowed to write your exam. Obviously, the lower that figure is, the more you then need to get into your exam to pass on 50% in total. Happy with that? Okay. Everybody else, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to stop the recording. Was this of value tonight in terms of, and I'm not trying to receive some kudos, just to make sure that that it served the purpose in terms of what you can expect. Okay, everybody seems fine. Okay, then I'm